Hello everyone. Today we are starting with the chapter number 2, that is motion in one dimension. So when we start about the motion in one dimension, so first of all let me explain you why we saying you motion in one dimension. Actually, to express any motion we need three coordinates. Suppose I say, if I mark a point here on the whiteboard A, suppose मैंने point mark किया A. So to represent this A on this whiteboard, what I need? I need the distance of A lengthwise and distance of A breadthwise. So that means that two coordinates are required, means that X coordinate and Y coordinates are required to represent this on this whiteboard. Similarly we can say that if I want to represent a point on the space, so I need 3 points, means के lengthwise distance, breadthwise distance, and what is the distance in the space. That means 3 coordinates are required in with x, y, and z. X, y, z coordinate is also required. So that type of motion is called 3-dimensional motion. And if only 2 coordinates are required to represent the motion, so it means that only 2 coordinates are required. Suppose if I represent a motion with a single coordinate, so that means it is called the motion in one dimension. So when we talk about motion in one dimension, we talk only about linear motion. Linear motion means that the body is moving in the straight line. Now the question arises into my mind, what is motion stand for? So I can say that motion is the phenomena when the body changes its position with respect to the reference point. For example, suppose I am holding this pen into my hand. I am holding this marker in my hand, and if I move with this pen holding, so it means that with respect to this pen I am not in motion, but according to the surrounding I am in motion because my surroundings are changing. See one more example. If suppose a boy who is standing at point A and here is a point B, suppose he is changing his distance with respect to B, so you can say that boy is in motion. And what is rest? Rest is nothing but if the position is not changing, means if this boy A is not changing his position with respect to B, that means he is not in motion. So after this motion and rest, so we have to define some other terms which are related to motion. So the first term comes into my mind, what are scalar quantities and what are vector quantities. What are scalar quantities and what are vector quantities? So scalar quantities means where direction is not required. So if I talk about the scalar quantities, so direction is not required. But if I talk about the vector quantity, so here direction is required. In vector quantities, direction is required. So some physical quantities in physics in which direction is not required. If suppose I want to say that the mass of this marker is 10 grams. So no need of mentioning the direction, only I say that the mass of this marker is 10 grams. Suppose I say the book in front of you, the mass of that book is 10 kg, or mass of that book is 100 grams, or mass of that book is 200 grams. So in that case, direction is not required. So you can say that quantity is a scalar quantity where the direction is not mentioned. Direction is not required to specify the particular scalar quantity. But when the direction is required, if I talk about go with a speed of 10 meters per second towards the school, or go with a speed of 30 meters per second toward east, toward west, toward north, or toward south, then in that case with speed I have to define the dimension. So I can say that where the direction is required, the given quantity is a vector quantity. So that when the direction is not required to mention the physical quantities, so those quantities are called the scalar quantities, and where the direction is required to mention the physical quantities, so in that case we can say those quantities are the fractional quantities. After this, let us take few example. Let us take an example of distance and displacement. Distance and displacement. When I talk about the distance, suppose there are 2 points, say A and B. There are 2 points of distance is nothing but it is the length of the path. It is length of the path. Suppose you can reach B like this. Okay, you can reach B like this, and also we can reach straight away to B also. Straight away to B means that by air, suppose you want to go from Dehradun to Mussoorie, so you are having 2 ways of going there. One is on road, that means by following the path. This is the path, so that this is called the distance, and one is by air, that means where the distance is the shortest. Okay, where the distance is shortest. So the shortest distance is called the displacement. So here, in case of displacement, the direction is to be mentioned. That means I have to move from A to B. A से B तक जाना है, so the direction is mentioned. So it is a vector quantities. But in case of displacement, the direction is changing at every point. Direction क्या हो रही है? हर point पे change हो रही है. So we can say that the distance is the scalar quantities. Okay. After this, let us come to speed and velocity. Okay, speed and velocity. I simply say go with a speed of 10 meter per second. I am not mentioning the direction. Direction mentioned nahi hai. So that is the scalar quantities. Direction is not mentioned. So that means the speed is the scalar quantities. If I talk about the velocity, velocity is nothing but it is the speed in particular direction. So the velocity की बात करेंगे तो velocity क्या है बेटा? Velocity is nothing but it is the speed in a particular direction. जब स्पीड के साथ में डायरेक्शन भी मेंशन कर दूंगा तो इन दैट केस वो स्पीड तुम्हारी क्या बन जाएगी? वेलोसिटी बन जाएगी. बाकी एवरीथिंग इज सेम, फॉर्मूला इज सेम. इन केस ऑफ स्पीड वी कैन से डिस्टेंस अपॉन टाइम. इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द वेलोसिटी, आई सिंपली से डिस्प्लेसमेंट अपॉन टाइम. आफ्टर this speed and this velocity, they are divided into different categories. So if suppose I say uniform speed, so uniform speed means that body is covering equal distance in equal interval of time और distance क्या हो रहा है? बराबर करके body move कर रही है. When I say that body is moving unequal distance in equal interval of time क्या है? 1 second है, but the distance which the body is covering is varies. So in that case the speed is variable, or we can say the non-uniform speed. Same thing happens with the velocity also. If the body covers equal distance in equal interval of time, then we can say that body is moving with a uniform velocity. If I say that body is moving with the variable velocity means that in this case the body is covering unequal distance in equal interval of time. And beside this, we are having two more types of speed and velocity. One is the instantaneous speed or instantaneous velocity. Second is the average speed and average velocity. So for calculating the average velocity, what we have to do, total distance upon total time is the formula for calculating the average velocity. Same with the velocity also, average total distance displacement upon total time to calculate the average velocity. If I talk about the instantaneous velocity, that means instantaneous velocity is nothing but it is the velocity calculated at a particular time. So if suppose I say what is the velocity at 5 seconds या what is the speed at 10 seconds, so in that case जो आपकी speed है, जो velocity है, वो क्या बन जाएगी? आपकी instantaneous speed या velocity बन जाएगी. After this we are having the last term, that is called the acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but it is a rate change of velocity. Accelerate करते हैं ना हम अपने vehicles को, accelerator is there, so उस accelerator की help से उसको accelerate करते हैं. Accelerator क्या work करता है? To increase and decrease the velocity. So acceleration is what? It is represented by A. Acceleration is what? It is rate change of velocity. Rate change of velocity means के final velocity minus initial velocity upon time. So we can say फाइनल वेलोसिटी को v ले लो, इसको इनिशियल वेलोसिटी को u ले लो, अपॉन del t करो, t1 माइनस t2 मीन्स के total final velocity minus initial velocity, final timing minus initial timing, और generally जो initial timing होता है वो आपका 0 होता है, तो simply we can say v minus u upon t. Okay, so this is the acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but it is a rate change of velocity. Velocity कैसे increase कर रही है, कैसे decrease कर रही है, that is called the acceleration. Sometime when the velocity decreases, so you can call it negative acceleration, and when the velocity increases, you called it positive acceleration. Velocity जब increase कर रही है तो acceleration we can say simply acceleration क्या बोलोगे उसको, जब velocity decrease कर रही है तो in that case we called it a negative acceleration or retardation. So I think this is all the things which are in this chapter, and nothing else. So today you have to revise this. In the next session I will discuss about the graphical representation of the of uniform motion. Uniform motion को graphically कैसे represent करते हैं, that we will see in the next video. So for today it's enough, just revise it. Thank you very much.